Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We bring you stories of faith, love, and devotion. Yeah, just kidding, please help us grow by hitting that like button. Now on to the story. I feel like the world's biggest idiot and don't know what to do. Need support. February 2022, I uncovered that my wife was having an affair with a former co-worker. This was just the tip of the iceberg that was about to sink my proverbial ship. Read life. I want to document my story for two purposes: one, to readily share when I choose to let family/friends in, when the feeling of shame won't let me form the words, and two, to get some targeted help for anyone unlucky enough to be in my situation. I have rarely opened up, even to those closest to me, so please allow me to be vulnerable. Some background. My wife and I have been a college couple since 2010 and got married in 2017. We have lived across 5 different states in that time, and to preserve plausible deniability, I will not mention them by name. Home is our current home as well as where we were raised. Username gives it away, winking face. To make matters even more complicated, we have 2 young sons, both under 4. At D-Day, we both had full-time corporate careers which were demanding, and my wife's job required a lot of regional travel. Additionally, she began investing a significant amount of time in her side hustle, which also required her to be out of the house most weekends. This was proving to be a very challenging point in our life, and it put a huge strain on our relationship as we were not living in our home state at the time and had 0 relatives/close friends in the state. It was becoming unsustainable for me to manage my increasingly demanding career, increasing parental responsibilities, and severe lack of sleep due to a newborn missing his absent mother. For the record, I was not fully ready to have a second child, but she inevitably persuaded me to do it sooner because her body, her choice and age of pregnancy. It got to the point where we discussed 2 options to help our family thrive that ultimately did not align to my wife's desires. 1, quit her full-time job and provide for our children full-time like she had wanted to do since college, or 2, relocate our family back to our home state so we can leverage our vast support network of family and friends. She was adamant on keeping her current role because it afforded her the ability to travel and have the time and space to focus on other things, and she never considered moving home after my many requests over the years, so I was not surprised when she rejected the idea again. I could not understand where her priorities were, because it was clear that it wasn't anywhere near home. Ahead of some of her work trips leading up to February, we would find ourselves arguing over silly things. It seemed like she would look for fights over semantics or misplaced belongings, belittle me in front of our kids, and often ignore me for long stretches of the day. We were both working remotely from our home, and there was a weird feeling every time she would leave the house for an upcoming trip. Almost an eagerness to escape, and a need to leave on the worst terms possible. She would defy severe weather warnings to make it to these trips. Her wedding ring was forgotten at home many times. She missed our anniversary and dog's birthday for an important trip, with no call or text, and then I knew, it couldn't have been the work, there must be someone else. D-Day, on one of her earlier trips, she managed to lock herself out of her long-since used smartwatch and left it with me so I could reset the watch. This was night 1 of 4 that she was set to be away, in the first of 2 locations. She wanted it reset, but I figured that I could avoid the hassle and try everyone's birthday until I got it right. Late at night, after getting our boys to sleep, I managed to figure out the password and was able to successfully unlock the watch. And then the messages started coming in. Pictures. Instructions on how to get a room key. Plans to rendezvous for future trips. Talks of running out of time to even have lunch after. Grievances over the weather, potentially cancelling their second stop on their romantical hotel room tour disguised as work trips. I panicked and called her out immediately. In hindsight, I should have taken my time, but I knew I would be unable to hide my emotions for too long. She ended her trip early to come home the following morning. Her first reaction was to deny, and then after presented with my overwhelming proof, she reluctantly confirmed. She said it was a co-worker that she had worked with years prior while we were living in separate states, and that they casually kept in touch over the years and started things after we moved to our new state. The 3 instances I uncovered was all of it, and that was all she was willing to divulge. I was crushed and couldn't reconcile some of the evidence that I had. Contact photos from a formal dinner that didn't fit into her alleged timeline. A lack of remorse from her after the discovery. I knew there had to be more. Over the next few days I would try to find more evidence on her phone and came away empty-handed. No surprise. I had so many questions unanswered and a WW that was unwilling to talk about it. But the one answer that I did know was that I wanted our family to move back to our home state. Married, separated, divorced, whatever, I knew that the best thing for our boys was to be around family while navigating these next steps. To my surprise, she balked at my ultimatum: move back home for a chance at reconciling this, or stay here and certainly file for divorce. She was defiant, uncompromising, and completely unsupportive of the idea of moving home. I felt idiotic, offering an olive branch only to have it thrown back in my face. I didn't know how to get out of the situation I desperately wanted to avoid, and it felt like she was doubling down on staying near this new man. But then I got the confirmation that I needed to definitively answer when this all started. D-Day number 2, a week later, on the day before my oldest son's birthday, I got the type of news that no father wants to hear. Scientifically there was a 0% chance that he was my offspring. I still don't know how to say the words that describe what it means, because he is obviously my son. But our DNA doesn't match. She reluctantly confirmed that it was the same man, and now confesses that the relationship started a mere 6 months after our wedding. This shattered me, and I hate to admit, but it changed my relationships with both of my sons. I went from feeling that I had 2 sons on this planet to knowing that while he is my son, I only have one true heir. I love him and wouldn't change him in any way, but I resent how this played out and how she hid this from me, as I was never given a choice. This is my main focus in therapy. I immediately stopped caring about the relationship implications of this new update. Obviously, it meant she lied, obviously it means there was more, and it is reasonably obvious to assume there is even more that hasn't been revealed. My immediate priority was to return back home, as I knew that we would need our family support system. We thankfully agreed to make the move, but logistically it meant I was stuck in many ways. The move wouldn't happen for a few months, and even after making the move home, I would need to wait. Immediately following the discovery, we separated in the same home, but inevitably, over the many weeks, things started getting back to normal. We did start to make time for these important conversations, and both started seeing therapists, but it never stuck once we finally moved home over summer. The plan was to move here, get through our individual busy summer seasons at work, and then focus on us. We did not share any of this with our family here, and for the most part are now living like it never happened. She is now instead focusing all of her time and energy in growing her side hustle. She is traveling for work again, longer trips now that she has to travel out of state, and staying out of the house longer so that she can book additional side jobs. She's gone on weekends, absent for our children's sports, anywhere but home. And what's worse, we don't need the extra money she is chasing. Where am I now? I am sad, lonely, and totally paralyzed. I need no further evidence that she doesn't care about me. But I can't bring myself to do anything. Because I prioritized the move, I feel like I played too nice and allowed us to just move past this. The lost reality of the family that I once thought has been hard to cope with, but I just feel completely stuck. Why can't I do the obvious? Separate from her, I have been struggling with this new reality with my son. The very few folks I have discussed this with have all mentioned that it doesn't change anything, which is a very noble mentality. However, it feels like it has changed, which adds guilt into the equation. Lost are the happy thoughts of he got that from me, and now I am left to question how much nurture I can squeeze into displace as much of the nature. There are days that I wish I hadn't sent off the DNA test, but quickly remind myself that I needed to know this, and it was abundantly clear that my wife would have never owned up to it. If you are aware of any support groups for this, please share. Lastly, I feel lucky to have found out. I was very lucky that I was able to confirm what I had suspected. It makes me wonder how many other close calls I should have pushed harder on. Now I just need an exit strategy. You have two options: 1, keep living a joke and wallow in misery for years to come, or 2, accept that your marriage is over, see a lawyer, file, and do the 180/grey rock and get on with living. Seriously dude, she thinks you're a joke. Wake up and take your life back. Do it now. Get yourself removed Tom the birth certificate and take your son and move back home as soon as she is back. Let her manage the home and her kid. That isn't really an option in most places. One thing I don't understand: why aren't paternity frauds present? It should be one of the highest forms of frauds and liable for major consequences. I'm sorry to have to say this, but she agreed to the move to get you to back off, while she is still seeing him. You had a lot of leverage in the divorce with the paternity fraud and evidence. Now she thinks you have gotten complacent and she's back to traveling so she can talk with him and potentially see him, while you provide free childcare for their kid. I am going to get flamed for this, but you should divorce and each take one child. You will never see your non-biological son in the same way, and your resentment towards your wife will manifest itself in your interaction with him. Go before a judge, have your name removed from his birth certificate, and your wife can pursue the AP for child support. Then divorce the vile, horrible creature that you married. Out her to her family and friends and try to minimize contact with her as you live your life. This op, I'm sorry if what I'm gonna say is harsh, but you're just a free babysitter to her. All this time she definitely knows that that child is not yours. Maybe that's the reason why she pushed for a second child, so that you will have difficulty leaving her. Protect yourself, start separating your finances, and if it's possible, have a post-nup with specific clause regarding infidelity if there's any reason you can't divorce her right away. I'm so sorry, op, but I agree with this person's comment. I am so sorry you're going through this. This is way too hard for anyone to go through. I can't even imagine. My heart hurts for you. I wish cheaters would understand the gravity of their ducking stupid actions and how it affects so much. It feels like it changes you. Like you're just going through the motions of life. You're not the same anymore. You have good happy moments, but most of the time they are overshadowed by the hurt you have been through. I know it hurts and I wish you the best. I agree that Op should take a step back and look at his relationship with his son realistically. It may never be the same. He will always be a reminder of her infidelity. He's not yet 4. Young enough to forget Op's role in his life so far. God, even writing this is heartbreaking, but maybe it's for the best. He should see a lawyer about what he can do. A divorce is the only reasonable option, and shared custody of their other boy. My thoughts exactly, clapping hands. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. You don't explicitly state it, but can we assume that she's now with the AP on these extended trips? That she never stopped the affair? This matters because it may show that they intend to set up a family unit in the future. Your marriage is obviously broken and being repaired. Her years of betrayal and deceit can't go unanswered. Ensure you are legally prepared and expose her lies and secret life to any who care. Protect yourself, but I'm afraid you'll have to be prepared that their biological child may become their pawn. Surround yourself with love and never feel to blame. She started on this path in what was supposed to be your happiest times. She is responsible for this, not you. Thanks for your words. She said she broke it off with him while we were living in our previous state. I don't believe that they haven't talked since, but she certainly is trying to make me believe that they aren't seeing each other when she travels. She FaceTimes from the room to show me no one is there, but she obviously wouldn't call if he was. I am beyond caring about her paramour though. I've realized that she is just gonna do whatever she wants. I think she truly thinks she is doing better by me, but I had to remind her that not sleeping with him doesn't earn her any credit. She needs to do more, and it's too little too late. When I panicked and called her out, I also found his wife's information and tried to let her know. She was in denial even after I sent pictures, and pretty sure she thinks I'm crazy. I think I caused enough commotion that he won't risk losing his wife and multiple kids, but I could be very naive. As the biological father, he may have rights to visit his child. He also may be obligated for child support. See an attorney. Insist on a written timeline subject to a polygraph test. You're right. Years of living a double life and bearing his child, and all that it implies about their relationship and her treatment of you, is too tough a pill to swallow. I find it hard to believe she would give it up so easily, but if the AP has a lot to lose, then maybe she has no choice. She also seems to be removing herself for the current situation as much as she can. I'd be wary of this. Your original post is light on her poor attempts to reconcile and fix things, and that's obviously showing where your thoughts are leaning towards. Make the choice to end this limbo. You still have the ability to make a better life. Share your experience, gain support, and move forward. All the strength and good luck to you and your family's future. Thank you. What would you expect someone to do to claw their way out of this hole? I don't know what I expected of her, but she isn't even trying anymore. What your wife did to you is beyond humanity. How can you see and talk to her without vomiting? You're a martyr, but it's time to end this ASAP. Tell everyone the truth immediately, both families and friends. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You are the victim of a cruel and arrogant cheater. Immediately begin the process of removing your name from the birth certificate of your non-biological son through the court. Immediately start preparing divorce papers together with a lawyer on your terms. Immediately move to your parents or to a separate housing, having agreed on the preliminary custody of the children, 50-50. Let her go on her business trips when she needs to sit with two children half the time. I think you need to overcome yourself and not push away the non-biological son. He is not to blame for anything. In the end, if his own father refuses him, you can adopt him. I read about such a case in one of the posts on Reddit. And in no case don't go to reconciliation. Raising someone else's child in your family, if his biological father is alive, is a huge risk for you. AP can call your wife to live with him at any time, and she will immediately leave the family. If not, then AP will legally visit his son, and thus there will be another family right in your house, and your wife and AP will definitely start ducking and slip you another of their children. Even if this does not happen, your non-biological son, when he gets older, will definitely come into contact with his own father. A very strong connection will immediately be established between them, and your son, without hesitation for a minute, will push you away and break your heart. Believe me, when he gets married, you won't even be invited to the wedding. There are so many similar examples on Reddit and on other sites. Your situation is very serious and threatens your health and well-being. You need to act very quickly, without letting your wife come to her senses. Act firmly and consistently, otherwise you will lose. Good luck. P.S. By the way, why didn't she move in with AP? After all, they have love. She has been practicing a parallel family with him for so many years. What happened? When confronted, she chose me. She claims to have only found out when I showed her the test, and that she didn't even really believe it. This is another lie, and I have enough proof to confirm that she knew, or blissfully ignored it. AP has a wife and 3 kids. She claimed that they weren't trying to mess around and destroy 2 families. I don't think he would leave his family for her, and she knew that too. Thanks for your words. This is pretty much where I am at. Agree that it's not fair to my son, knowing that his real father likely doesn't know about him, nor would he or his wife accept him. I actually did discuss my case with lawyers in our multiple states, and the move home actually gave me protection. Here, the state recognizes me as the father, and if AP wanted him, the state would side with me. In our previous state, I could have lost him in a heartbeat if Mom and AP wanted to. This was a huge driving factor in forcing the move to happen. I agree for most of your recommended next steps, but I am trying to see how I can leverage all of that into the best separation terms as possible for myself. What would be the ideal scenario for me, and how can I use my potential silence to leverage the best deal? The most upset she's gotten in all of this has been when I tell other people. She is laser focused on how others think about her, and would be destroyed if others found out about the real her. I would like to say I won't tell anyone, but you have to agree to underscore to get the best exit. But what would underscore need to be to avoid me ruining her reputation? Obviously we don't know your financial situation, but I'd play hardball with her. Give me the contents of our retirement/savings accounts. Since you're gone traveling full time, I want 100% custody of the kids, and you get visitation when you happen to be around. I want child support and alimony to help offset the change in lifestyle the kids and I will experience when I become a full-time single father. I want half of your business since I've supported you in creating it over the years. I want the house so that the kids' lives aren't disrupted, so you move out. You pay for half of the kids' insurance and any/all medical bills, school-related activities, summer camps, etc. Ask for everything and then negotiate down from there, but fight to get the most you can. Since she travels so much, you shouldn't have any problem getting custody and child support. Tell her if she isn't willing to acquiesce on these things, you'll show everyone in her life the evidence you have, and you'll expose her for the terrible person she is. I see no reason to be reasonable with someone who has been cheating on you and lying for years, who let you raise another man's child, and who truly doesn't give a SHT about you. What the duck have I just read? I feel for you, brother. Forgive the cheating? Yeah, sure. Letting her boss you around, manipulate you and gaslight you? Okay, a couple have survived that. But ducking lying to you about your eldest paternity? And you're paralyzed? Especially when you have a large support network? Why are you not looking into divorce? Why are you not putting her and the turd on blast? Why are you still there like a chump? Concerning your son, that's tough. He is your son and it isn't his fault his mother is a piece of cartoon villain type garbage. On the other hand, I wouldn't speak too badly of you if you told your ex to introduce him to his daddy. Your call. But for duck's sake, do something. Lawyer therapy is first priorities. Get the support of your family. Steel yourself and don't allow your sons to model their future relationship dynamics after yours. By the gods, do something. Mate apologies if this sounds harsh, but assuming your post isn't fake, it should be used as an example of what not to do when confronted with that level of betrayal. We hope that by sharing these stories with interested folks like you, we can help people recognize the signs of a relationship in trouble, and avoid so many of these heartbreaking situations yourselves. Have a good day or night, wherever you are.